want to give a big shout out to someone with her own Hellcat. All right. But let me just let you guys know, let you guys hear it from her. She has an excellent channel, The Security Boss. Now she already has one, but now she's starting a new one, The Security Boss Unsolicited. Let's just take a quick listen to her. Another killer content creator.
Remember, I talked about the exercising of options, and we're just going to go back to the title. Do you want to build a wife? Okay. Exercising options. What exercising options does is it created child support court. Because somewhere along the lines where my mother said, I'm not leaving, I'm going to make sure that these kids are brought up in a household with a mother and a father and a good provider. She stayed. She's still there now. I'm sure now everything is good. Everybody's grown. Everybody's happy. But child support came about. And when child support came about, women started telling themselves, you know what? I really don't like the fact that this man wants to exercise these options. Maybe I should have some, maybe I should take an option. Child support court came about. And when child support court came about, it started to give women some of the support that they needed from that provider if that provider was not there, or if they decide to exercise their options and leave that man. Now, like I said, as a traditional woman, my mom never did that. She never did that. She stayed. And like I said, she's still there today. So it was more important for her to have a home with a mother and father to raise her kids. And after a while, I guess things got easier to deal with. Life got better. Kids got grown. So those things that were huge that you were going through became smaller, I'm assuming. So that brings us to today, to this time with the modern women. I hear so often men say that they want a woman. And this is, well, you know what? I'm not saying they say it this way, but the things that they say they want: comfort, submission, cooking, cleaning, consideration. They want that woman to be for them, to support them, be aware that they're the leaders, they're the heads. This all to me describes a traditional woman. That's what it describes. But then on the flip side, they'll throw in something like, but while I'm out there looking for her, I'm not going to date her no more than 4 times before I expect to have sex. And that right there is where I tend to ask questions and I tend to disagree. Because y'all know, as a traditional woman, growing up in a traditional household, you are taught not to have sex before marriage. So now what? What do we have? So now we're building a wife. We're not accepting what someone has to offer, a good woman. We're now building a wife. This is what I want. This is what I want. Now, listen, I always say this, and I talk to my husband about it all the time. I am so glad that when he and I were dating, life was not this calculated, because we loved each other. Well, we met. Let me just talk about that for a minute. We met, believe it or not, we met in a nightclub. I was actually going to college at the time. I told my now husband that what he wanted from me, I could not do at the time. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I did. And a whole year went by, but I didn't forget that man. I just wasn't ready to be in the kind of relationship that he wanted to be in at the time. I'm the traditional woman, right? So I kind of put him off for a whole year. Thank you guys for coming in. When you come in, please just hit that thumbs up button. RM, greetings, ma'am. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. So listen, like I said, I met him in a nightclub. At the time, I wasn't ready for what he was ready for. Just to give you a little background, my husband's 5 years older than me. He had already been married before, and it didn't go well. So he knew who he was. He was on his purpose. He had been married before, and he knew he wanted to be a married man. He knew that for himself. There was no calculations. There was no 1 + 1. If she does this, this is good. If she looks this, no. He had in his mind, and he said he had prayed about it. Okay, because he wanted to be a married man. So, in other words, y'all, he was in the position to court and find a wife. That's where he was. So it didn't have to be calculated per se, unless you want to call that calculation. But he was ready. The man was ready. At the time, the woman was not. Okay. But I didn't forget about him. So a year or so later, we met again. And at this time, I think I had dropped out of school. just to be totally honest, I had dropped out of finish that particular program. I don't know which one it was. But anyway, he called me back. We met again, I should say. And this time, it took off. Now, he was so different from what I was used to per se. This is what I'm thinking in my mind at the time. But he really wasn't. But in my mind, he was different. But guess what? I was ready. I was no longer interested in being in the club anymore where I met him. I wasn't interested in doing that. I was ready. And y'all, 6 months later, we were married. We were. So I'm so perplexed about this because as a traditional woman and having those values and being trying to be moral, my husband and I could not stay together the way we wanted to and not be married. So it came quickly. The marriage. But all this calculation about what she's doing, how she's going to do it, is she doing? I don't get it. We were two people that were ready and we did it. And I'm hoping that's how it is, because when I hear men build a wife, I'm really concerned about this, because a traditional woman has and carries values. A man who is ready to be married carries values. And I just think if those two energies, they meet up, then all this calculation is not necessary, because we're not going to be perfect. But if you're saying you want a traditional woman that recognizes that you are the head, you're the provider, you're the leader, she's also recognizing that you have some traditional values. And guess what? You're saying, oh, she's different. She's a lady. A lady doesn't give herself away to every man that takes her on a fifth date. All right. Now, I don't know how that plays out. You know, modern women are a little different. But you're saying you want a traditional woman that carries traditional values and recognizes a head, a leader, but you want her to have that modern twist. And that's just not how it goes. So this is me speaking, guys. Y'all may think totally different. And please hit that thumbs up button when you come in. I want to hear what you all think about this, because now things are so, every time I hear it, it's so calculated. You know, and maybe it's me putting that traditional value on that woman, because I'm hearing submission, I'm hearing comfort, I'm hearing, hero. My husband's my hero. He's my superhero. He really is. He teaches me things I don't know. Okay. He does. I know a lot of things, but there's an aspect of him that he brings or brought to the marriage that I did not know. And it met up. It was good. And I would think that in any relationship that needs to go into a marriage relationship, it should be the same. There shouldn't be any calculations. Like I said, he was married before, did not work out, but he knew exactly what he wanted. He was on his purpose, and he knew he wanted to be married. That was his position. Okay. He found me, his wife. And I just think that that's how it is. All this finding and courting and calculation that goes on in between, I don't know if that's necessary. I think we're playing games. I don't know. I want to hear from someone else. So, Miss Sharon, you are making lots of sense. I know, but this is just me. What do you think? Because we are so confusing to the next generation. Miss Sharon, I don't know if you were there with me in the beginning, but I said that I hung out with a group of young people, that our next generation, under 30, this past week. And they want to be married. They want to be men and leaders and providers. They want that. They still want that, even though in our culture, they see us falling apart. They see it, but they still want it. They say we want to be happy within marriage. I mean, it was such a joy for me to hear a young man say this that I'm like, I need some theme music. So anyway, I mentioned I have another channel, Rich Auntie with a Y, no spaces. Go check it out. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about, do you want to build a wife? I think that a lot of times we are just not being honest with ourselves. And I'm not talking about high value. I'm talking about regular people that go to work every day, have a regular life, that need to figure out how to live with each other. If you want someone that wants to be married and has traditional values, with that comes certain parameters. Now, it was crazy when I was young. When I was younger, you didn't have red lipstick, red nail polish, none of that. That was crazy. Like I said, you didn't go out with rollers in your hair. You didn't, you had to have your clothes ironed. This is what mother and wife did. She managed the household. She basically raised her children. If we want to be honest about it, the Black mom really raised the kids within the parameters of the husband. He's there. But my dad was a silent partner. He was the provider, and he showed me a lot. I mean, I hung out with my daddy until I was about 12, 13. That was my partner. And he showed me a lot of things, but let's just be real. I don't know about everybody's household, so I can't say that. But he really allowed my mom to raise us. So he's there. And now I'm hearing so many things about how it's so calculated. I keep saying it's so calculated. It confuses me, because if you want a traditional woman with traditional values, you have to accept all of that. And then you have to ask yourself, are you ready? Because what I'm hearing, men with this list of what a woman needs to do and what does she bring to the table and all of that, that kind of tells me you're not ready. I hate to say it, man, because I advocate for you. I want y'all to be ready. But it kind of says that you're not, because there's no perfect person, including yourself. And you have to be on your purpose and be ready to be married. Because remember, in a traditional household, the man is the leader, the provider, the minister. All right. He's the head. He makes sure that house is together. The woman, the mother, the wife, she manages the house. Okay. She keeps all that junk away from dad. I know y'all say it's the other way around, but it really isn't per se. They all got their separate set of junk that they are responsible for. He's responsible for making the money and bringing it home. He trusts mother, wife enough that he gives her that money, and she takes that money and she pays the bills, and he trusts her to know that she's doing it. So whatever she does, he knows that it's going to be done right. It's not his money and her money. They now become one. They have 4 kids. They're living under one roof. But now I hear so many different stories, and I get it, but it just seems to me that men, slow down, get on your purpose, and be ready to be married, and accept all those different things that come with it. And stop trying to build a wife, because I don't think you really want to do that. I'm saying I think what you're looking for is within you. I think you have to be ready to be married. And if it's a traditional woman you're looking for, find her, but accept her. Don't try to throw in a curveball and be like, but you got to have sex with me after this 3rd date. I mean, the 3rd date might be it. I'm not saying it's not, but a traditional woman has values and she owns them.